love these episodes where we actually get to have friends and guests on the show, which is kind of nice. If you haven't already, please like, subscribe, and follow us on YouTube. A new episode drops every Tuesday morning, 6 a.m. Central Standard Time, and on YouTube, which is free. And just subscribe for us if you would. And then also we're on every other podcast platform that's out there, iHeart, Apple, Spotify, and all the other ones. So new episode every week. And this week we have great guests we're very excited about. I've known this man for a long time.
Longer than it's polite to say.
Yeah, I know.
A while. We were both different cats back then.
We both broadcast, fellow broadcasters, and you were probably one of the most prolific promotions brain I've ever seen in my life.
Well, that's very gracious.
Yeah, Doug Harris, who is in Houston radio. My gosh, the lineage is outstanding. But at KLOL and 97 Rock, we were involved in, and like
KLOL was where I stuck my flag in the dirt,
Yeah.
and that led to other stations also owned by the Jones family, and that led to working overseas when the revolution happened over there with commercial radio, and I've just been very, very lucky and very fortunate.
Yeah. And speaking of which, the show is about relationships. You're also very lucky that you met this lovely lady, Desa Turner.
Hello. Thank you for having us. This is really fun.
Yeah. I mean, I remember, so we met you guys. I met you guys when my husband was inducted in the Texas Radio Hall of Fame. And I remember seeing this woman, like, she didn't look like any other women in that room. I was like, who is this beautiful woman? Just like, she's gorgeous. Like, you see her in person and she's stunningly beautiful. And I was like, who is this person? And she dresses like very, very fashionable. Not like many people. Where were we? In the middle of nowhere, Texas.
Kilgore.
Kilgore,
It's
Texas.
a lovely community, and they welcome us there every year, and we're very gracious.
No, but it's
But
like
there aren't
she
a lot of
didn't look.
folks. Yeah.
She didn't look like somebody from
very
Kilgore,
striking.
It
Texas.
was my first trip, actually, that trip. First time. I'm from Texas, and that was the first time I'd ever been to Kilgore.
Yeah,
Me too.
me too.
But,
Like she didn't look like somebody from there, and I was like, "Who is this beautiful woman just
so
walking
sweet.
here?"
Same thing I said first time I saw her.
That's
But there was a time when we were curious about each other's orientation
Yes.
because, at first glance, at either of us, you might wonder if they are interested in same-sex relationships or opposite-sex relationships.
I have
and-
one ex-husband that he goes, no, you look good. You look like a rich lesbian. I'm like, okay, that's good. I'll take that.
hey, Mark, our gay friends,
That's a new promo tonight on CBS.
Yes. Like, okay.
rich
you know.
lesbians.
Rich lesbians.
So we had been in each other's circle, the Facebook world, for a couple of years and had never really encountered each other. And we were both separately leaving a theater performance. And she leaned out of her SUV, another calling card there, for that tribe. And she says, hey, Doug Harris. And I went, hey. And so we went over and had a chat. And we made a date for breakfast a couple of weeks later. And
8 a.m., I might add.
Didn't know. I didn't know.
8 a.m. I'm an
Is that,
artist.
is that early for you?
That's working time for me. I roll out of bed and hit my studio.
Oh, okay.
So 8 a.m. Yeah,
So like
he's
no
a
dinner. It was like a date breakfast.
breakfast date.
Well, I didn't know. We found our path.
That's why I knew it was safe. I'm like, this guy's not trying. Hey,
It's not trying to, like
meet me
make
down
you drunk.
Meet me down at the girls club, and we're gonna have a talk. No, it was actually a wonderful breakfast date. It was
Yeah.
really nice, really nice.
And how long ago was that?
A year and a half, I suppose. We really didn't hit our stride. When we first connected, I sort of made a few missteps, and I had to go back and retrace and retrieve those steps before we could really hit our stride, which I would say would have been a year ago this past September, October, is when we really started, finding our path. And the attraction was, despite my advanced age, the attraction was instantaneous.
He's not that much older than me, please.
Well, I'm
Not like us.
I'm older than I look.
Yeah.
I'm 103. So, she's some years
You
younger.
look
can't-
amazing.
Thank you.
That's the
Amazing
key,
for
right?
others.
That's the
Yes,
key.
Yeah.
I just immediately, when I met Doug and had a chance to spend even a moment with him, I realized how upbeat he was. He just loves life. And that's all I was looking for at this juncture of my life. I'd been single 6-7 years. Believe me, I've been an optimist. I've been married 4 times, but this was like unlike anyone I have ever met.
Oh,
Well, he's definitely an optimist. He's also very outgoing. He knows everyone,
Yes.
and everyone knows him. And so it's when he walks into the room, he's very electric, and so it's fun to hang out with him because fun times.
That's the perfect word. He's electric.
Yeah.
The energy's fun when we spend time together. I mean, we each retreat to our spaces to do our days and what we're up to, but we come together and have such a good time. It's just so nice to have someone that you can really enjoy going for a meal with or a movie. And we both like thrift shopping, big time.
Oh,
I mean,
wow.
I don't know. I think that's kind of rare. I don't have an ex that was ever interested in thrifting. We love that. We love art. I'm an artist, so it's lovely that Doug is so interested in art, and he's done a lot with artists, raising money for his foundation.
well,
I'll tell you about that, but-
a little bit of the success of this comes from a dear friend, the late Anthony Kazunas, was a mentor to me and a second father, and I had a great father. He said, in relationships, what's important to her has to be important to you, and what's important to you has to be important to her, which sounds, oh, that's simple. I'll just find somebody that likes the same things I do. And then you have the 8 o'clock issue, which is an adjustment. I'm an avid, perhaps rabid moviegoer. Desa, not so much, even though she was an actress during her days in L.A.
It's a problem with ADHD. I'll be straight up.
I would
And he has
love
the
to
same issues.
I would love to sit in a theater in the dark, in the icy cold air conditioning with a room of like-minded strangers and just disconnect for 90 minutes or in the case of some of these new ones, 3 hours.
I know, right?
And it's just not her cup of chai.
Yeah.
I do love movies, but I think Doug could do movie theater twice, 3 times a week, no problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to really. It depends on what kind of. We were into that a little bit. We movies, but after COVID, we really stopped going to the theaters.
Yeah.
We're so happy because, here in Houston, the River Oaks Theater has reopened on such a
So for
grand,
those listening
wonderful
worldwide,
scale.
that is a classic, historic Art Deco style theater that was almost razed and taken to the ground, and a group of locals saved it.
Yeah.
And it's now being restored. We've seen a couple of movies there. By the way, we're going to see the Oscars there, by the way, honey.
Oh, wonderful.
I made that day.
Oh,
That's
good.
it's funny. I realize I always forget until I see one of your Facebook posts that we're practically neighbors.
Yeah.
We live a couple of
Yeah.
blocks
Well,
from each other.
when you're stateside.
Yeah,
Yeah,
when we're
when
staying.
we're-
Well, yeah, we live half.
We'd
the-
love to be your neighbors across the pond, but
Yeah.
we're
Right.
discussing that too.
Yeah. So we're always on West Gray there in the River Oaks. It's our neighborhood there. So I saw that. I think of you every time that we could drive by there. 'Cause I was
Yeah.
like, oh
'Cause
God,
I
we
was
gotta
like,
get
oh,
over here because it
yeah.
looks so cool. They have food and wine and all kind of things, right?
Oh, we
Indeed.
have some favorite restaurants along there. Oh, my
Yeah.
goodness.
It's a target-rich environment if you're an omnivore or a gourmand, I suppose would be it. That may be a little too flattering, but we just like we like the restaurants where they have what we like and they bring it to us and they treat us right and give us a nice table, and we eat out a meal a day easily, if not.
Yeah, that's something that he likes to do too, like
But-
going to
But you
nice
cook
place.
though, right?
I do cook. Yes, I cooked steak. Amazing steak.
Oh, and last night he
I mean,
made an amazing steak.
amazing
like
filet
oh,
mignon.
Oh,
So
It was
I cook on occasion. I had to learn by necessity during the Corona lockdown.
I, on
Desa-
the other hand, before I made this move to my new loft, I had the fire department at my house 4 separate times. So I was formally invited to no longer cook. And I'm
That's
down
so
with that.
funny.
I'm so down with that.
4 times.
4 times. I mean, we start with just a boiling pot of water. I forget about it. I'm off to something else.
That's your ADHD.
That's the ADHD, and I'm focused on what I'm focused on.
Sure.
So, yeah.
Yeah, she doesn't cook a lot either. I mean, she'll make a few things here, but she's focused on other things, and she lets
I'm
me
making the money.
She's busy trying to make some money, and so
You do that.
I'm doing
Yes,
that.
woman.
Well, it's funny that she said something very early on that was quite telling. That when we walked into that room in Kilgore, that you really stood out. You were quite striking,
Yeah.
and I think people that have that certain magic, they have that look, and that's what she was attracted to. But there was a reason why we didn't know. So you were a model, right?
Yes,
and in
I was.
Hollywood, and an actress in Hollywood. And tell us about that.
Well, I mean, the modeling came about. I mean, I did local modeling in Houston as a young girl, And then I was involved, I grew up with Theater Under the Stars and
okay.
danced and sang in all the musicals as a kid until I was too tall. And then I was in the adult dance corps there because I was too tall. So theater is just, it was my lifeblood as a child. It opened up my world as a child because I was brought up in a little Baptist church.
Mm.
And to go from there to theater class, and you've got MG Perez, he used to do the kids' news here, and Chandra Wilson, who's, came to fame with Grey's Anatomy and other things she's done, was just a little bitty thing. We did Scrooged together. It was really fun. So I did do modeling locally, and then the gig I booked, I was 15. I kind of fibbed and told them I was 16, but I was in a show called Here's Hollywood at Astroworld.
Oh, wow.
And it was a great gig, and it was so much fun. And we did like 4 shows a day, sometimes more. Barely made it out of 10th grade. They weren't going to let me pass because I'd missed so much school, but I was busy.
You were working.
But I was in that show when a mother agent pulled me out, and with some other girls she had found in Texas, took us all to Paris, and we did a whole summer, and it was amazing. It was amazing. But then I came back because I was starting FIT in New York.
Fashion Institute of Technology.
Fashion Institute. So I wanted to start originally as a fashion designer, and I was taking acting classes. I had my hands in as much as I could.
Hold on, let me pause you. So you went to Paris when you were 15?
Yes, I was 16 by the time I got there.
And that didn't, I guess now, I don't know, I just feel like I wouldn't let my daughter go to Paris nowadays because, like most of those things nowadays, it's not that safe. I mean, I wouldn't.
Right. Well, I tell you what it is. They're called mother agents. And I have a girlfriend that she's a face of Clarence at, I'm not going to say her age. She's got beautiful white hair. I mean, she's been kicking butt like crazy. And she's become a mother agent to a young woman she met. And this young woman ended up having the Estee Lauder contract. So what they do is you go and they put a bunch of young people in the same apartment. I'm sure things are much better today. We had a lot of freedom, but I was very lucky that the girls I was hanging out with were all very grounded. So, I was too busy to be interested in anything bad, if you will, or doing drugs or drinking. I was too busy. There wasn't time for that. Or
You
for
didn't have a
porn.
horror story. That's a good thing.
No horror story, thank goodness, with that aspect. No.
Because nowadays, like a lot of women, like even when they're younger, like they look older and they end up with older men, and that spirals
Careful
down
now.
too.
Careful.
Yeah. Who are you to talk?
Yeah.
So
No, I mean, when
the
you're
point of the show.
16, I'm saying, like, when you're 16,
I get it.
mean, if you're with a 40-year-old, not.
I just think I came together in 2018. To be honest, it was like everything finally went click. So
from Paris, then what? Then how did you end up in Hollywood?
well, I followed a boy. No, kind of did. I was going out with Mark Goodman from MTV, the
Okay.
VJ, and I knew he was going to move out there, and I was like, oh, because I just met him, and I just thought he was fabulous. And New York was okay, but then my father died, and it felt like the city just came down on my head. So we had gone out there for a trip for pilot season, and I got an agent. I walked across the street from the hotel. I got an agent. The people that produced Here's Hollywood, funny enough, the show at Astroworld, lived in L.A., so they had taken me to lunch one day, and I had them pull over. I saw an apartment, gave them a check, called my mother later, hey, I'm going to be moving to L.A. So it was kind of one of those things that really wasn't in the plan.
And how old were you this time?
18, 19, yeah. But I really had a marvelous time in L.A. for many years. Did television and soap operas and theater and props and, you name it. It was just a real creative time, and lived even downtown, the last place, the beer brewery on Moulton's, where it's an artist community. So that's...
Well, I guess back then it was way cheaper than it is today. Like for an 18-year-old to be able to afford an apartment.
Yeah, no, it was $700 for 2,000 square raw feet.
Wow.
It worked out really well.
And now that's for a cardboard box in an alley.
Yeah.
And you'll share it with a couple of people.
All right. Yeah, you share a couch for
But they
$700.
have it's much stricter now about young girls, let's say, going overseas for something like that. The rules, even when in television and on shoots, it's all gotten a lot better.
Well, it's because, I mean, you have all these things that have happened lately that we knew they were happening, and now I mean, I was a model when I was younger, and at some point I remember in Mexico City they told my mom, hey, we want to send her to Miami to do this like kind of like reality TV show, and I was already 18, and my mom said no. I was like, Mom, and she's like, you're not going to just Miami by yourself. No, you're not. I was like, fine, whatever. And I didn't, and I was mad. And I mean,
But
things
you
happen for a
understand
reason.
now.
I understand now that she was really trying to protect me, and a lot of things that, I mean, even growing up, right? Like you're a beautiful woman, and you understand like what's being to be me too. Like, and sometimes you just have to pull it through, and sometimes you just feel like, is this normal? Like, I think nowadays, it's not normal what happens, but men harassing you and you thought it was normal, maybe because that was what you were
And not
doing.
even that you thought it was normal, but we were modeled. We watched. Just don't say anything. Just keep moving, keep walking. Don't say anything. Don't confront. Don't confront.
Right.
And then, I mean, to what end? I worked in New York. I worked a lot of jobs coming through being a creative person. I mean, restaurants, boutiques, you name it, anything. And, people would slap your ass and you could just have to roll your eyes.
Right.
Now, that was in the late 80s.
Right.
This is not okay anymore. And I'm really
Well,
happy
I don't
to
think
be a
it
part.
was ever okay.
It was
It's
never
just,
okay, but we're speaking up about
Right.
it. I mean, I still have my pink pussy hat and I'm keeping it. Yeah, we're still working. We're still working.
I never think it's okay to and I mean he doesn't understand it as a man. Like, he's always telling me like, oh, they're overreacting. I'm like, babe, number one, you're a man. You don't know what's going through. And number two, this one is the man that when we give baths to our puppies, he will not give a bath to the female puppies because he's like, no, I'm not gonna touch them down there. You give them baths. Like, this is the type of man that my husband is. He's just precious, and he
You got
doesn't.
a good one.
Yeah, he doesn't understand the concept that other men will look at somebody younger, like teenagers, or like look at you in an uncomfortable way. Because I remember when we started,
Sexualizing.
yeah, or when we started dating, and I didn't want to give him my number at the first time I met him. He was like, okay, like he wasn't this obnoxious guy that kept trying and being that guy. Like, we went out on the first date, he didn't try anything. Like, I said no, like I think he wanted to kiss me, I said no or something, and he didn't try again. Like, he really respected, and that felt weird, but that's the way it should be. So in his mind, he never understands the fact that other people will meet to you, or like if you say no, they will go push you.
I found a gentleman as well.
There you go.
That's it's a really big deal. It's really special.
So
Every
girls,
woman
they're
that
out
came
there.
before you has shaped me, and he will say the same thing. So here we are, perfectly imperfect for each other at my advanced age, and just stumbling through this great adventure. And every day is a new adventure.
And what's on the horizon? What do you have come up? What do you want to do? If you could, we had talked before. You really like to go over and visit Europe a little bit.
We have not made overseas travel together yet. We were in Oaxaca with an art group from Glassell School of Art in October, and that was righteously cool. It was really good. But travel I think is in the future. She has a show coming up next fall in Los Angeles, art show. So that's a lot of work. I didn't realize that was an adjustment for me. I don't think I ever gave any thought to how long it takes an artist to produce a work. Every once in a while you hear the story, well, he did that in an hour and a half and she did it in 2 weekends. A piece could be weeks and weeks of a single piece. And
months and months.
What kind of art do you do?
I do a assemblage, which is 3-dimensional collage with found objects, or they can be made. If anyone goes to my site, it'd be a lot easier. I think for me as an artist, it's difficult to describe it. I can tell you emotionally what was going on when I made it. But I have, for instance, I've taken real violins and I burned them. And
the
then
little blowtorch.
with a blowtorch.
And
And
that's why the firemen show up 4 times. Just pointing that out.
Cooking again?
yeah, I should say my favorite paintbrush, if you will, is my torch.
Yeah.
So
I
there
see
you
that
go.
little pyro
What's your
there.
what's your site? What's your website?
Studio Desa, right?
Let's spell that. STUDIODEASA.com.
There you go.
StudioDesa.com.
So Deasa.
Yes.
Yes, yes. So it's
But I will describe the most dramatic piece of hers that I've ever seen, and that was that tower 8 feet tall? So imagine like a column, a wood column, 8 feet tall, covered. I mean, not a little speck of space with Pez dispensers and children's toys. There must have been 1,000 plus on. It's a distinctive piece, and it'd have to be in a very special home because it's a wow kind of a piece.
and there are a lot of the little appendages sticking out or armed with guns. I called it the Tower of Babel, like
Oh,
the
wow.
Babel on,
The
like
Babylon.
blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. And what inspires you to, like, where do you get this idea? Like, I'm going to do, does it take a while? Or is it just something comes to you? It's like, oh, I got to make this.
As I acquire objects and then I amass a certain amount of something, and a lot of times then the idea will pop in. Or I just get a concept. I did a lot of things about guns in my
Yeah.
last show, primarily like guns in schools. I did something that looked like a chalkboard. It was a chalkboard, and it had actual automatic weapons, plastic that I had covered, that were melded into the chalkboard. Just a commentary on all the school shootings. You know, it can get dark, and as an artist, I mean, that's how I get it out of my system so that I can breathe and carry on every day.
Right.
But I like to be happy too about it. So this was just a burst of color. I really needed to make something colorful.
Do you ever have showings of your art, like all in one spot?
Yes, I had a show this past September here in Houston. I'm with Hooks Epstein Galleries on Colquitt, and that's run by Yvonne Garcia, and she's just marvelous. And up the street is Heidi Vaughn Fine Art, and the whole row there. It's a really terrific art scene. And then in Los Angeles, I'm with Taylor Fine Art in Culver City. So
Oh, nice.
I had a show last December. That's what Doug. Talk about new relationship. Going on that trip, I think he has a better.
There's not a hotel suite big enough for 9 days in a row with someone that you've just started a relationship with. There's not, but we got a lot of fun and complicated. We both got sick.
Yeah.
So we're in this fabulous hotel on just off Sunset. So that was after Kilgore. Right?
Okay.
So Kilgore was
Yeah.
Right.
a little
So
more
how
than-
is it like for you when she's doing all this art? What like are you?
I'm a
with
distraction, so I get out of the way, and I mean that in the kindest way fashionable. I listen to music or radio all day long when I work at home. She likes silence, other than the cats whispering around. So
My head's too loud.
Yeah.
So I let her do art. I do my work upstairs. We live in the same building. Her studio's on the first floor. Our residence, so to speak, is on the third floor. It all works out beautifully. It works out for us. Maybe not the ideal circumstance for everyone, but
I
it works
think
for
it's
us.
the tits.
All right.
That's great. Like, but that's what you were talking about, like trying to find what makes her happy, and you understand. Like, some people will get mad, like, oh, she's not like she doesn't want me around or something. But you understand that that's what she needs at the time, and vice versa. Like, you
Yes,
know,
when
like,
he says, "I really want to go see a movie," I have to think about it. Yes, I'm okay to sit down and do that today. Or, you know what, honey, go ahead,
you
go
do you.
enjoy it. I don't think I have the attention span. I'm doing this and this.
And that I'm not upset about that. So I think when you mentioned earlier, what I referenced earlier about what's important to her and vice versa, it doesn't mean there's not some adjustments involved, because some of the thing, one of the things that fuels her creative spirit is she goes to artist talk. She'll go to anybody's art show, meet the artist, ask them about their work, and if there's an artist talk, which is where the artist talks to a room full of people for 20, 30, sometimes an hour.
2 hours on Saturday.
That she feeds off of that because it gives her ideas. It's not poaching or repurposing other people's work, but it gives her some ideas.
And I like to get to know the work, what's happening here in Houston and the artist, and you can engage it. I mean, there's some brilliant artists in this city. It's really, we have a
Yeah.
amazing art scene in Houston.
And I
From
think
artists with galleries or out where
yeah,
Silver Street, et
Silver
cetera.
Street. Yeah.
Art Nance.
I'm just not big on going to the artist talk. I can appreciate it, but I got a 3-second rule on art. I look at it, and if it doesn't grab me, if it doesn't speak to me in 3 seconds, I can get through the Louvre in an hour and a half. Because okay, seen that one, seen it. 3, and I don't think that's a rush to judgment. Okay, it did not speak to me. I'm going to have this in my home or office or my bedroom or my bathroom for the rest of the. No, it's got to speak to me. So I do want to mention something what Desa just said about Houston. There is so much cool, free stuff to do in this town, and I think, as I'm sure you encounter overseas in your life, there people think tumbleweeds blowing down Main Street, and we all ride horses to work.
Yeah.
There's
That
a
is-
thriving art community here. And if we were younger and didn't have two nickels to rub together, there are free art shows virtually every weekend in this Houston. Doesn't even cost a park.
Isn't it, they still have the Westheimer Arts Festival or whatever it was?
That has moved down to, it's now called the Bio City Arts Festival, I think. Now. But you have the Silver Street and Winter Street and Summer Street studios, Spring Street as well. And you've got the artists we mentioned there on Colquitt here in the art district here. There's
Hardy and Nance. There's
if you'll just get out and wherever you are and let life hit you in the face, you find interesting people, sometimes spark a romance. But there's just so much to take from what the world has to offer if you just get out and let life hit you in the face.
We found that out walking around in Madrid a lot. Very similar. Like when we used to go on Sundays, they have those big street festivals, and we actually bought some art. I bought paintings and things there that we walked around. It's like they have these big festivals, just all
like
this food and
Markets,
and
not festival.
well,
markets.
markets. I guess you can buy stuff, but I've gotten a couple of paintings there. And we found one at the thrift store, like a painting that we really liked. I actually got that. But I get what you're talking about. If you find
The
something, it
thrift store.
speaks to you. And it's like, okay, I love this thing. It just speaks to you. And I bought a painting at the thrift store back at the corner.
Yeah.
I bought one yesterday.
And a vase. And a vase.
And a
A
vase, a
vase that
ceramic
fancy is a
vase.
vase, not a vase. It's a vase.
A
that you
vase.
bought.
A
It's
vase.
really cool.
And this
been
man
nickels
loves
and
to
dimes.
thrift. Oh my gosh. I was like, seriously? Oh gosh, I love this.
So you guys live together now?
Well,
No?
so we are in the
Kind
same
of.
building.
Oh.
We technically have separate residences, but we end up in the same, king size bed every night. How's that? So yeah,
Ah,
we do.
that's
We,
sweet.
it's still having private spaces, but at the same time, we have the time to spend together as well.
Oh, that's
Fantastic.
super
It works
sweet.
just perfect for us. It
Yeah.
really does. I couldn't have fit in his place. I've been thrifting for over 20 years. I have what's supposed to be a bedroom downstairs that looks like it's my restaurant shelves filled with all my amphora that I work with. I couldn't imagine bringing it into his beautiful home.
So when I first went to her former residence, and I saw a room with these restaurant racks, is what they are. So here's 22 telephones, dial telephones. Here are 19 old electric fans. Cash registers are over here. I mean, it's just stuff that will later find its way to art. Maybe not this year, maybe not 3 years from
Right.
now, but hey, I know where I have one of those.
Yeah.
There's a collectability to just grab, snag, and she had to have a place to store it. So yeah, my tiny 2,400 square foot loft wouldn't have been able to accommodate her stuff. And let's not even go there with the clothes.
Oh,
I learned.
bet.
I really. I'm sorry. It's a wonderful bad habit. I learned that from my mother. I love clothes, but I wanted to be a fashion designer at one point.
Right.
I just love clothes.
I do
That's the same
too.
with
But
her.
I have because of him, he's always like, "You have enough." I was like, "That's true," and not only here but also in Europe. So we have to kind of like gauge
You're
that.
splitting a wardrobe.
Yeah, I'm splitting, but
Yeah.
I'm conscious about, especially now with fast fashion and everything. I'm conscious about like, okay, if I'm buying something has to be donated or like repurposed or like everything else. Like I try not to accumulate a lot of things because I know he's always bitching at me that I
At one
have.
time she had I think at one point she had almost 400 pairs of shoes.
I did.
It was insane.
Okay, you beat me. You
I
beat me on
know.
that
Win
one.
on that one.
Yeah,
There
that's
might be a trophy somewhere for that.
Yeah, that's a
But you know
lot.
what? What you're saying is very important because I've seen these stories sometimes on Facebook about, it's kind of like a meme or something, but it's very true. Like somebody will get mad at you, right? And I'm pretty sure like you've dated people that get mad at you because you're hoarding all this stuff, right? Like at the end it's, or like somebody will be like not very happy that you have all this stuff accumulated.
Yeah.
And he encourages you with that, and that's the good thing. Like you can be yourself, you guys go thrifting together. Somebody may tell you, you don't need that, what do you need that for? But you know it's gonna end up somewhere at some point.
Yes,
And that's what you should have in a partner and in a relationship. Somebody
True,
that
we get to treasure hunt together.
yes,
I mean, that's what it is. It's field trips. I love field trips. Going to the gallery is a field trip. Going to the museum. You coming here today. What a field trip. This is it. This is not a dress rehearsal. This is it, folks.
But
Let's enjoy.
I do want to mention to the youngsters out there who are hoping to find romance on the level that we all have.
yeah.
If you find a woman that has enough of the good stuff there's going to be some stuff you have to overlook, and you're not going to be able to change it. So if you go into a relationship, say, I think I can work on that with her. And If you're not willing to take them exactly as they are,
True.
don't even go there. Because to find a woman like this or like this, and then, close the deal, so to speak, and then start changing it. It's kind of like those people that buy those beautiful dogs and then cut their ears and then cut other things. Go buy a hamster. Don't try to remake the dog any more than you would try to remake a woman.
That is true.
You have to, all the eccentricities, you have to learn at least to tolerate them, if not love them.
Because Doug is not eccentric at all. No, it's one of the things I love about him, actually.
Oh, that's great. I'm glad to see you guys are hitting it off so well, and you've got such great idea and such zest for life. And that's what you're eating life up, and I love that.
Well, you just never know.
Yeah.
I mean, again,
You
at
never
my age,
You say
Well-
that like you're 150. You're just 100. It's fine.
yeah.
And I died once.
You did.
I did.
Oh my gosh.
I
She had-
did.
that's, now, you can't drop a bomb like that in the closing minutes of the thing. She had
No,
a really unusual muscular skeletal anomaly that had to be surgically removed and still haunts her, so to speak, to this day. It's one of the reasons she went from being a painter and sketch artist to doing assemblage, because
I lost my right clavicle in this whole debacle.
Oh my gosh.
So the repetitive motion of using the arm, but in assemblage, I'm never doing the same thing twice. I'm moving, building,
painting,
yeah.
burning, gluing.
But
Yeah.
let me tell you, it was a great experience.
Dying.
Yes, it was.
Cool.
It's not scary at all. It was amazing. I just, like any going through anything like that, it just made me kind of go, you know what? I'm okay. When the time comes, it's going to be just fine. In the meantime, party.
That's,
That's
right.
good.
But in a good way. In a good way.
Live life.
Yes, live
Live
life.
life.
That's
Because,
good.
Yeah.
Because you never know, right?
You never know. You never know.
It's like he always says, like, "Oh, baby, I'm gonna be long gone when you're older." You never know. It could be I could be dying today. You never know.
You get hit by a bus.
It's-
Well,
I
let's make
say
sure-
the very same thing.
Let's
You
get
can
some
hear my
positive energy back.
I know.
Yeah, no,
We did
but it
that
is.
death
It's-
thing there for a minute.
I
Yeah.
feel
I
like
know.
I'm in
Let's
a room
get some-
already. We're
You
all
can't-
like,
it makes you appreciate life more, doesn't it?
That's
oh
it.
my, absolutely, absolutely.
It
Live
makes you
live
it makes
life
you enjoy.
as much as you can. That's for sure.
And get your butt to Kilgore
Show
once
up.
a year.
There you go.
I'll let you guys do that, and you
Okay.
guys tell me how is that going
But you
over
did.
there.
The museum was righteously
so cool.
It was very
the
cool.
reason we go to Kilgore is because that's the home of the Texas Broadcast Museum,
And that's
and
very
it's
cool.
righteously cool for particularly radio geeks
Right.
like
And
us.
it was an
Oh, but
honor to
everything
be
in there.
inducted in there. My name will forever be enshrined there. So
Yes.
I'm very happy about that. Well, every Tuesday, please make sure you're subscribed. A new episode, 6 a.m. Central Standard Time, and on YouTube and every other podcast platform.